Hello, and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Atmansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin DeClo.
And Colin Cunningham.
And today we're going to be talking about a little guy who is about 3 feet tall, has Spock's ears, and a vampire wig. A little guy known as Munchie.
I mean, Colin was laughing already when you started talking. Just the excitement of Munchie fever was gripping him. The same fever that is clearly afflicting Munchie. Look at his skin. He's so sick. He's going to die at any moment.
He's so mottled. He looks like a corpse.
Well, I don't know if they shot this in order, but by the end of the movie, that puppet is looking rough.
Yeah.
Just rotting away. You expect like his lips to fall off to reveal the skull or fangs underneath.
Oh, I wish.
Well, so Justin, you've been mentioning, I feel like, Munchie several times over the past little while, and sending us like the poster, and I really was dreading watching this movie.
I did not want to watch this.
It's Dom DeLuise, first of all, voicing this ugly little puppet.
Is that a negative? Don't we all love the Domster?
Well, I grew up with him being in absolutely everything. Like every cartoon I watched, he was in. He couldn't get away from him. Well, I guess mostly just the
Cannonball Run film?
No.
Yeah, April loved the Cannonball Run films. She could not get enough of Bert and the Gang.
American Tail and All Dogs Go to Heaven.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
That guy.
Best Little Whorehouse.
Who's that animator?
Oh, Don Bluth?
Oh, Don Bluth.
Don Bluth, yeah. So he's in like literally all his movies, and he always has the same voice. But no, I was not excited
That's
for
why
this
you
movie.
hire him. You want that DeLuise magic.
Also, again, you look at the poster, and it looks terrible. I think there's like the flying pizza maybe in the poster.
Is like Munchie
like
kind of
people on the bottom.
I can picture it in my mind. I think he's wearing like a leather jacket. Is he kind of like leaning, like he's got some attitude?
He's flying through the air.
Oh God.
Anyway, I could not have been more wrong. This movie is really good.
I love
this is a movie that would haunt me at the video store in the only place I was allowed to rent from, the 99-cent family section at West Coast Video. And I remember watching it once and being like, I do not like this. Like, Munchie looks like shit. He doesn't even have any wishing powers, which really disturbed me as a kid.
They're
that like,
very vague.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But I made a list of what his powers actually are. And I think it pretty much stays to it. Teleporting, he can move stuff around in the air, telekinesis, and he can also imitate voices. Those are his 3 powers of his base.
I was going to say he can change radio stations, but that's just telekinesis.
Yeah.
Yep, it all falls into telekinesis. Now, let's not get confused with the powers that he has in Munchie Strikes Back, which features a Dom DeLuise impersonator. They couldn't get the Domster back.
Are you kidding?
Yep. I think maybe Dom was too busy voicing the skateboard kid, the magic skateboard.
Yeah, the other weird live-action movie with a puppet. So this movie is directed by Jim Wynorski, who I know at least a little bit about, definitely from, you've mentioned lots of times on your other podcast, Justin, and we've seen a few of his movies, Chopping Mall mainly. So can you tell us a little bit about him and his work, I guess, with Roger Corman, right?
Jim Wynorski loves breasts. All right, so we've got that out of the way. That pretty much sums up who he is.
And
I would
movie.
say that as those kind of like low budget filmmakers, because he was really good pals with Fredel Ray, who also appears in this movie in a troublesome cameo, that Jim Wynorski loves to entertain. He started right from the beginning with a film called, I always get it wrong, it's like The Forbidden Empire, and he's just like a huge movie nerd. Like in The Forbidden Empire, he has like an old Lassie actor in a scene, and I remember in a commentary track, he's like, oh, there you hear the original Lassie bark in the background. That's the kind of stuff that he does.
Okay.
He did Return of Swamp Thing, and his films, at least in the early period before he became completely destitute when it came to making movies, are usually fun. There's a lot of camera work. There's a lot of goofy humor. There's a lot of action. Like, he just wants to entertain. Mm-hmm. And out of all those guys, like, Fredel Ray is much more of a utilitarian filmmaker.
Right.
Yeah.
While Wynorski seems to always go the extra mile, which happens in Munchie as well.
Oh, yeah,
which
big
could
time.
have just been mailed in. Like,
for sure.
Let's just not even try. But
That's
he's
what I was
trying
expecting.
in this movie.
Yeah. He's got some nice flourishes that it just keeps the energy going for sure.
But Wynorski is one of those guys that I was shocked that he's still making movies, but I feel like, he's definitely not politically correct for these times. As in, like,
Well, isn't he making like Sharktopus versus?
he was for a while, but like he's mostly
Replicator.
famous for making movies that shoot in 2 to 5 days these days.
okay.
There's an amazing documentary for people that are interested in him called Papatopoulos.
Yeah,
that's
I've
very
seen
good.
that. I've seen that. That's right.
You've seen that documentary?
Yeah, and I didn't really like put 2 and 2 together.
Well, I'm
until
always
now.
getting him and Fred Olen Ray confused because
As do many people, yes.
That's
Jim
right.
Wynorski's the slicker and, to be generous, funner one.
Yeah, for sure. This is a really entertaining movie. And
Sorry, did Fred Olen Ray? He directs the Lifetime movies now.
Yes,
Hallmark
Fred Ray does
movies?
Lifetime
Oh, okay,
movies.
all
Okay,
Yeah.
so not this. So yes, this movie is really good. Almost like despite Munchie, like everything else
For
in
sure,
the movie
yeah.
and everyone else is really like funny. And like I said, they go the extra mile without it. Like it's very over the top, but
Yeah.
it works.
there's some genuine laughs in this movie for sure. And yeah, like you said, like he really wants to entertain, and this, like, the kid kind of has like fantasy sequences. There's just like little things that lots of kind of adult jokes.
Lots of stuff for the parents.
For the
For the dads in the audience.
Oh my god. Yeah, Lonnie Anderson.
Ooh, Monique Gabrielle, Penthouse Playmate.
I knew it. I knew she
Yeah.
had to be.
We could tell by
bad.
the names in the end credits. Like, okay, she's done like adult movies.
So this movie opens with the title card Concord, which was one of Roger Corman's companies. Yes, he produced this film. Well, sorry, produced. I'm putting that in air quotes.
Well, the funny thing is, we watched it on Tubi, and the description, the film description, was like, from the wacky mind of Roger Corman.
I don't know about
Like,
that.
what?
Apparently, he's not wacky enough for you.
I need to give some context to this too, because it's very easily confused with a movie called Munchies, which has nothing to do with this film.
Yeah.
Also produced by Roger Corman, which was a Gremlins ripoff, directed by the editor of Gremlins. It is not good.
What?
I saw
Yes.
the poster for that. And it made it look like a sex comedy.
Yeah, where it's like the Munchie like looking up a woman's dress and it's
Yeah.
like, "Ew." That's the second time I've used this in the last 5 minutes.
Very confusing.
Ew.
So yeah, it opens with a car chase set in 1970.
Okay, so this car chase makes no sense. I'm like, is this stock footage from something?
I thought it was. It looks like it's from another movie.
It could be from another movie.
Okay.
I
Well, did
thought
I
for
tell the
sure.
story about Jim Wynorski that in the early 2000s he was famous for buying footage from Universal and putting them in other movies? I feel like I did.
Yeah.
So that was Jim Wynorski?
That was Jim Wynorski, the
that-
one where he took the footage from Last Action Hero and put it in his
That's
Treat
right,
Williams
that's right.
film.
I think
That came up last episode.
Yeah, you did. You did mention that. But this is so funny. It's just like I felt like, okay, well, they're going to explain this later in the movie or something. There's going to be some big reveal, like this person that's driving the car is going to be connected to somebody.
Or he's
Nope.
going to come back.
It's just completely unrelated to everything. So this guy is like, he's like, looks like he's beaten and bruised as well. So he's.
Did you notice there was a blow-up Dracula doll in the passenger seat?
I have no idea what the hell that was
No.
about. It looked like it was stuck onto Munchie's crate.
What?
So, yeah, I don't know. He's just driving this crate. We don't know what it is, but it's it's speaking with Dom DeLuise's voice.
And he will not shut up.
And it's kind
I
of,
think
it's kind
that's
of,
why.
It's like blinking as well. It's like got these green lights that blink. And I'm
That
like,
never
And we
comes
should say
back.
here that Dom DeLuise, as the voice of Munchie, he doesn't really tell jokes. He just kind of talks.
He-
So he'll be
he
like,
tries, but
hey,
they're
it's
not
tight
funny.
in here. And that's it.
yeah, that's about it.
Sometimes it's kind of a pun, and that's the best that he can do.
Well, he thinks it's funny because he ends every sentence with like him laughing. Whoa! It's hilarious, but I did notice, and they're like the corniest jokes. It's like these old-time vaudevillian jokes that just bomb. And then in the end credits, it has like additional Munchie dialogue. And there's
So they probably got Dom DeLuise for 1 hour, and he just like riffed off the script.
1 hour isn't. That's
the
not enough to
scripts.
do an hour and 20-minute movie.
Hey, it's me, Munchie. How's it going? All right, Munchie. All right, see you later.
bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, that's a Dom DeLuise touch.
Were you recording?
All right, Dom, I'm ready to go.
You're right. It feels. It feels very detached from the movie and Munchie himself.
And the puppet, which
Yeah.
we'll get to. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. Let's not talk about the puppet until we get to the puppet.
Yeah,
'cause
for sure.
It's glorious appearance.
Oh my god.
Okay,
almighty.
so he throws it down a hill.
yeah, so I guess the whole opening
Bottomless
scene.
pit.
Yeah, you're wondering. So,
No one's going to want these naked pictures of Whoopi Goldberg.
so he tosses Munchie's crate. Well, we don't know it's Munchie's crate. Whatever. He tosses into a bottomless pit. So I guess the whole opening was just to show that it's like a curse to be friends with Munchie. Like, you know, he kind of destroys your life. Because this guy looks like he's been in a like bar fight. Mm-hmm. He's like beaten up.
And he
Did
looks
Munchie
really happy to be getting rid.
Yeah, he's like
of
fist
Munchie.
pumping. He's like, yeah. And then we get the credit sequence.
Chattering teeth.
For the life of
why?
me, I don't know why. Is it?
I guess you're munching, teeth, Munchie. That's a connection I make.
It's a bit of a stretch.
It's a bit of a stretch, and also I take issue with that, and we'll get to it.
With chattering teeth?
With the whole Munchie thing.
With the name
Okay.
Munchie.
Yeah, why he was called Munchie.
A lot of this
Probably because it was a
like
movie
that.
called Munchies and it made a lot of money, and that's why they utilized the same one. It's Roger Corman. That's probably the way they did
trying
it.
to trick people.
It's a prequel.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we get probably my biggest disappointment of the movie, which is in the title credits. It says Lonnie Anderson. And I was like, I read it as Louis Anderson when I looked at IMDb.
Are you serious?
Yes, I did. And I was like, Louis Anderson in this movie? Sweet.
Well, I
No,
didn't.
not him.
I didn't know
Lonnie.
who Lonnie Anderson was.
I had to
until
explain who
yesterday,
Lonnie Anderson
but
was.
I don't know who Lonnie Anderson is either.
She's
Explain,
famous
Colin.
from WKRP in Cincinnati. And she
right.
was just like the kind of airhead secretary on that show, and she had big boobs and she was blonde.
And she was married to Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, they
that's
had
probably why Dom DeLuise is in this movie.
Famously married to Burt Reynolds because their divorce went on for like 20 fucking years after they were married.
You can't say no to that bird, I guess.
I guess.
Or Lonnie. I don't know which way it went.
Well, anyway, that's that. So
And then
she's
we've
in
got
this movie.
we've got a very young Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Love Hewitt.
Love-
No
Just
Jennifer
just
in her
going
name.
as Love Hewitt.
I guess they realized that just Love didn't sell, so she changed it to Jennifer Love.
Love never sells. Only the physical contact does, April.
I
You're
guess
right.
So.
Ew.
Oh, we're doing all the Simpson sounds this episode. Jim Wynorski says that he's like, I discovered Jennifer Love Hewitt because this was her
does.
first film role, even though that she had been in television before.
Well, also like this came out in the mid '90s, right?
92.
I'd never heard of this movie, so it's not like this was like a big movie.
Not back then, no.
I don't even remember seeing this at Blockbuster.
This would probably be a straight to video, I think, right?
Oh, definitely straight to video. Would have not played theatrically. Yeah, I think that because she was a music person.
Really?
Like she sang songs, didn't he? Yeah, because I'm looking
they
here
all
and there's
do.
music video. Jennifer Love Hewitt, please save us the world. Which I'm sure is
So she's
very.
also a
What a
music
terrible
serious.
title.
Well, she didn't really break out until Party of Five. Which
That's
is
the
way,
only
way
thing I know her
later.
from.
Well, I know
And-
her from the movies that she did after that because I did not watch Party of Five.
She did a lot of television. She was on a TV show called The Birds of Paradise, on a TV show called McKenna,
never even heard
House
of them.
Arrest, and then I Know What You Did Last Summer. Where's
But yeah,
Party of Five?
I knew her from. Wait, was she not in Party of Five?
I don't think she wasn't. Oh, no, she was.
okay.
Sorry, it was way back in her filmography because it was from 1995 to 1999.
Wasn't Neve
And it shows
Campbell
up
in
until
Party of
last
Five?
year.
Yeah, Neve Campbell.
And
But
then-
yeah, I know her from. I Know You Did Last Summer. Can't Hardly Wait. That was the big.
Oh, I feel like that's
It's a teen movie.
Yeah.
I played for you at one time. I saw that a bajillion times growing up. And like later, she was on like that movie Heartbreakers and just dumb.
And she
comedy
doesn't
stuff like
really
that.
act in movies anymore. I think because
No.
she's trapped in like she was in Criminal Minds for 2 years, and then she's been in the 911 Minds from 2000.
Wasn't she the Ghost Whisperer?
Was she?
I have no
Oh
idea.
yeah, and that was 5 years as well as a Ghost Whisperer.
Yeah. So she's doing okay.
She's kind of like stuck in the shows that when you tell people the titles, they've never heard of them.
Yeah,
Except
and I
maybe
mean,
the-
she's okay in this. Like, she's good for a little kid actor. Now, her co-star, I can't say the same for him. This kid who I saw the preview image on Tubi, and I was like, oh my god, it's Ben Savage. Ben Savage from Boy Meets World is in this movie. It's not him.
I did not
No,
know that
it's-
Fred Savage had a brother.
Yes, you
Hey,
did.
Yeah, he is. He's in Little Monsters. Both of them star as brothers in the movie.
Really?
Yep.
I guess I've never
the
seen
classic Howie Mandel film. Maybe come into this podcast.
Maybe.
I
one
thought she
day.
was just like mispronouncing. I'm like, it's Fred Savage.
But yeah, this kid cannot stop laughing the entire movie.
He looks like he's trying not to smile
like
throughout the entire
every
movie.
scene. At first, you're like, okay, maybe it's just a scene. No, it's the entire movie. It's the entire movie.
It's
and
because everybody
it's
is
funny.
hilarious
Yeah.
around him, you see.
And this kid also, this was his last acting role. It's credited that he's in Munchie Strikes Back, but I have a feeling it's probably stock footage. I haven't seen Munchie Strikes Back in years, so.
Or you just think they reused footage or something like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a classic Roger Corman style to get us to feature-length running time.
Oh, it was in the contract that you signed.
It's like, we're going to watch 20 minutes of the last movie. It's like, all right.
I remember I was with this other kid.
This movie's only an hour 20. It's blissfully short.
Oh, it is not an hour 20. It's like an hour 15, and it's got those. Look at the cast image credits.
The Predator credits.
Shit out.
Yeah, I guess maybe including like the end credits. I don't remember how this movie starts.
It's
Do we
just
start
like-
him at his school?
In classroom,
Yep.
classroom, he's like, in love with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and we get the first of many like fantasy scenes. He kind of like keeps going into this fantasy world where he's like imagining her.
Yeah, unfortunately, this stops after he meets Munchie. It's only in the
Because
first half.
Munchie has all the imagination he needs.
Yeah,
He brings
exactly.
he brings his fantasies to life.
I mean, there is a nice through line about Munchie's talking about imagination later, and also his like the professor friend. It does like
Yeah.
it's a theme.
But the funny thing is, he's looking at Jennifer Love Hewitt, and then he goes into like this fantasy world, and you're thinking, oh, it's going to be them like kissing or something or in love. No, it's just he's getting like awarded
Like the best
school president or something like that.
Yeah, by the guy that's in Chopping Mall.
John Terlesky, Death Stalker 2
Yeah.
himself.
He was also
I'll
in
get
Shockma.
you in Death Stalker 2. Actually, the person who says that, Sultana, is Tori Staples, who's his teacher in this movie.
Oh, that's
the one
right.
talking about
It's all
Yeah.
like they all
fractions.
the same actors.
Yeah, you see a lot of like actors. I was just going through the cast list. I'm like, oh yeah, they were all also. in, like,
I dislike math so much. I made 2 notes back to back. Fractions are bullshit. Why do they fail kids? Who cares? Fractions. Fuck that.
Yeah,
in my notes.
we sure as
'Cause
hell
they're
not using
learning fractions.
Yeah, they were asking like Jennifer Love Hewitt, like how to add this fraction and this fraction. I was like, fuck.
Although actually,
I would not know how to do that.
I do need to use fractions when I'm using the measuring cups. The third
that's
and the
true.
cup and the eighth. I am using them.
Why do they still do that? Why not just make it like 0.5? Like it'd be so much easier
why,
to follow.
Why even have a third be anything? It's annoying. Anyway, I love these fantasy sequences. They've been done in lots of other things. Christmas Story, that Sidekicks movie.
I mean, it was a cartoon thing, like
Arthur did
Life
it
with Louie,
a lot.
and speaking of Louie Anderson, again,
Life with Lonnie Anderson.
Life with Louie.
It's cute. It's creative, and it's a good way to kind of break it up.
A funny joke on that recent Netflix show, Saturday Morning Cartoon All Stars, where there's a parody of those, like, comedian does a cartoon show.
Yeah.
And he would have these imaginary sequences, and the joke is, like, that he can't imagine anything but it being Western. He's like, it's like me in a Western town. My parents were fighting, just like in a Western town. It just kept going back and back to Western.
Because it's like an older
again.
comedian who has
He can't think of anything.
no creativity.
Would recommend that show. He keeps interrupting his own comedy skit. He's like, wait, let me give you a second. Just like Howie Mandel was.
Saturday Morning All Star Hits is really funny. I would recommend that. It's on Netflix.
I gotta check that out. I've seen some.
Actually, Colin would probably really like it because it's around the period that he was a kid and watching
He watched like the
cartoons.
first 3 episodes. With
yeah,
me.
it was very familiar.
I watched the rest of it by myself. But so.
Well, he does. Okay, so after this class, the teacher like says, you're doing shitty in math. I'm going to have to fail you. I'm like, all right, whatever. So he's like the new kid in school or something. They go to the next scene is in the cafeteria. Okay,
This is the grossest cafeteria food I have ever seen.
This is so weird because the whole movie seems to take place in a high school, but these kids are very young.
They're
These are-
elementary
These are
school.
grade school kids, I don't know, grade 6 or 5 or
yeah.
something. But it's clearly a high school. I'm like, I didn't have a cafeteria in elementary school.
They do Shakespeare
No, I
plays.
did not either.
But he has a
Trying out for the football team,
It's so weird.
They have a locker room with showers.
He's like,
I want to get back to this food though.
he has a tray of food. Like an adult couldn't eat that much food.
But it's also like beans, mashed potatoes, pancakes, and cranberries. Is this breakfast in the
I don't
cafeteria?
know.
What's going on?
It's like 6 pounds of food.
That's your breakfast,
and it's all
kids.
slop, and he's like paying the like
Lunch
cafeteria lady. I didn't have a cafeteria until high school.
Me too.
And even then, it was just sort of like
I never ate at the cafeteria. It was a very foreign thing because I never had any money to buy stuff.
well, neither did I. But like all they sold was beef patties or something, or like
Oh yeah,
bags
or
of
chicken fingers.
Yeah.
chips or whatever. It wasn't like a full meal or anything.
No, no,
I
no.
think,
Mine
but you
neither.
always see this in like high school movies specifically.
Maybe it's an American
like,
thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Yeah, it's very foreign to me.
And our hero sits down at the table with a rich guy and his jock sidekick,
Which is
and
so
also
funny.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is really funny. It's almost like you could picture this rich kid. He's like the preppy kid. He'd be played by James Spader if he was in like
And he's doing like
a
a
later
posh accent,
yeah,
which is very cute.
And he's got like the kind of sweater like over his shoulder.
Has
like,
anyone been a good person who's worn a sweater over their shoulders?
no.
no,
never.
Well, I mean, tennis instructors maybe.
No, they're bad people too.
Yeah. They have sex with all their clients.
Yeah. Well, you've seen Squid and the Whale, right? That's how that goes.
But yeah, the other kid, like, what's his name? Leon is his little, like, not little. He's like the muscle,
bully, the
yeah.
muscle kid. But I like their dynamic, and I like that they're kind of acting and speaking older than they are.
Almost like the script was supposed to be for a high school
for like teens
kid.
or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
It's true.
Which is really funny.
And what happens? The bully throws his tray of food, filled with food, onto the principal, and it makes a fart sound when it hits the principal.
The sound effects in this are really funny.
And then the classic, who threw that tray? And they're like, well, that kid doesn't have a tray, so it must be his fault.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Come here!" And then as the kid is walking, he's like getting all these like fantasy sequences, which are funny. Wild West.
Wild West again.
sees
He's
the
the devil.
Yeah, he sees the principal as like the marshal or something, and he's got the
judge.
hangman's rope and
the
everything.
judge with the curly wig.
Yeah,
and this
it's-
is all just like in the span of like 10 seconds.
Yeah, so this is like the kind of first hint where you're like, okay, this is
It's
got
creative.
some style.
It's well done. They used the costumes they had, in the wardrobe department.
And then the principal is like, I'm giving you detention, and I'm taking off like 2 demerit points, and then the kid kind of like holds his heart like he just got shot, and he's like,
Well, because he imagines himself being shot by revolutionary soldiers.
Yeah, he imagines being like at the firing range, which is also hilarious.
but then this like ketchup like sprays on his shirt, and he's like, oh, it's just ketchup.
He gives him 20 hours of study hall. That is a massive punishment. Like 20 hours?
That's like after school for 20 days, like a month,
Yeah.
just for throwing a tray of food.
That was something that I can't remember. I think I had to stay after school like once or something like that. But I knew
You made a lot of friends along the way and realized who you were.
met my friend Munchie.
Oh, no!
Oh,
Did you guys have imaginary friends when you were kids?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I did. Oh, you did, April.
I
Okay.
did, yeah.
Really?
What was his name? Munchie?
I think his name was Norman.
Norm!
Don't know why. Don't
Hey,
know
it's
why.
Norman. How you doing, April?
Yeah.
What is it, like a gnome named Norm? Is that who it was?
That was a Stan Winston movie, wasn't it?
Was he voiced by Dom DeLuise? I'm looking it
No.
up now.
I think that's that movie with the really ugly puppet.
Was it with
Oh,
Anthony,
yeah.
Anthony
Horrifying
Michael
look.
Hall?
It was Anthony Michael Hall, yeah.
Directed by Stan Winston, I believe.
Dream project, I'm sure. So, all right, we won't make fun of April's friend Norm because he could take revenge, Drop Dead Fred style.
It's true.
So yeah, the kid's walking home. We meet his wacky scientist
Okay,
neighbor.
but we meet him because a gigantic explosion happens.
It is huge.
From his garage.
It looked practical too.
It was practical,
Well, was
yeah. I
it
went
a
back and checked.
CG?
It was a big fireball.
Yeah.
Well, it could be comped in.
Well, we
so
can see
his-
that later.
Classic neighbor, Professor Not Doc Brown, is someone I don't think this kid should be hanging out with. Like, this grown man hanging out with his 10-year-old boy.
He's harmless.
He's like vaguely kind of German/Russian. I can't.
So I
really
looked
tell.
up this actor. His name is Art Johnson. He's been working since 1954.
Rowan Martin's Laughing. That's where you know him from.
Laughing? I've never watched
I was
Laughing.
like,
yet.
holy shit! I know this guy. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was saying Laugh-In is a little before my time. I have heard of it though. I know what it is.
It's kind of like a variety show.
yeah.
it's
So
almost
he was like the main guy or one of the main
he was
guys.
he would be like the Carol Burnett show. He would be like the Harvey Korman or Tim
Mm-hmm.
Conway. He would always like pop up in the skits.
Those two names, me and April, are like, yeah, of course. Harvey
just nodding
Korman and Tim
quietly.
Conway.
I know those people.
Come on, Harvey Korman.
I don't know who Harvey Korman. I know who Tim Conway
Have you
is.
seen Blazing Saddles?
Yes.
Okay, Harvey Korman is
the farting guy?
no, he's the kind of town mayor or whatever, Hedy Lamar. Or, I
He was
forget his
also
name.
in the Star Wars Holiday Special.
He was
Right. He's the guy who loves that Wookiee porn
No,
that he
whoop.
watches.
No, that was
No,
Art.
Yeah.
Fuck, what was his name? From the Honeymooners.
Art Carney.
Art Carney.
No, he was like the maid who was like whipping and stirring.
He was giving the cooking thing and whip and stir and whip.
Anyway, why are we talking about Harvey Korman? We should be
whatever.
talking about this guy.
Art Johnson.
Art Johnson.
Artie
I read his
Johnson.
IMDb. The first note is treated successfully for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but later died of cancer of the bladder and the prostate.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, why are you putting that on the trivia? Like, that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, that's a
Was a master of accents and dialects. Okay, if you say so.
Questionable.
He's funny in this. He's doing like kind of like subtle like physical comedy, and he's not in it a ton, but like the little moments here and there are. It's funny.
He does
He's
some
good.
boobery, yeah. He's kind of entertaining, but yeah, I don't know what his deal is. He's like a scientist, but he has all this like military equipment and I don't know, whatever.
He worked for the military. He created the atomic bomb.
Professor Crookshank.
He's like, I don't want to work at the university anymore. The longer I'm there, the dumber I feel, or something like that.
yeah. He's like, I had to fled my homeland during World War
He's
II.
a disgraced professor.
Yeah,
Not
because he created the atomic bomb. He worked for the Nazi scientists. I think we've covered
Well,
this.
later he asks for like plutonium or something.
I don't know.
Oh no, like Doc Brown.
Yeah.
We also meet the evil stepdad in this scene.
He is my favorite part of this movie. He's
the best.
Andrew Stevens.
Oh yeah, I've recently become a fan of Andrew Stevens because even when he was making this film, he was mostly a producer of things.
He has produced so many goddamn movies. Some of the best: Ballistic X versus Sever,
Oh man, that's a movie for this podcast.
Battlefield Earth.
Oh, he did Battlefield Earth.
I was looking through his movies. I'm like, holy shit, there are some like stinkers in here.
I was confused if we had done a film he directed called Nailed It. Did we talk about this?
I don't think so.
So it's a movie, or no, Send It, it was called, from 2021. And it's a
No.
movie all about windsurfing. No, not kiteboarding. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like a film where it's like everyone loves kiteboarding. There's a kiteboarding channel. They cannot get enough of
No,
kiteboarding.
and this just came out. No, I remember you reviewed it, and I was like, and you talked about the plot. I was like, this is an 80s movie that's just coming out now, right? No, apparently it's
Michael
new.
J. White plays a kiteboarding bar owner.
What?
Yeah, so I want to
Yes.
see this movie.
Was it funded by Big Kiteboard?
Yeah, it has to be. The poster has an amazing, was a special appearance and music by 2 Chainz. It's like, well, I got to see it then.
It was directed by this guy.
Yeah, Andrew Stevens directed it.
That is insane.
So we were like, who is this guy? I thought that maybe with his mustache, he kind of looked like Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. Not
That's
him.
exactly who he looks like. He does look
Like,
like,
to the point that maybe
Terry
they're-
Kaiser. Is that his name?
Yeah, maybe they're trying to do that. But it turns out he was in a movie we saw recently, the Charles Bronson movie 10 to Midnight.
Yeah.
Which is actually a really good, trashy, crime movie. But he plays his partner.
partner.
The Naked Man?
No,
Oh,
not
his
the
partner.
naked
Not
guy.
the naked man.
He plays the other cop. And if he didn't have the mustache in this, I would have recognized him, but it completely changes it, and it's a completely different character.
Yeah.
He's so good in this.
Yeah.
It's like completely night and day between that and this.
He is hamming it up.
He has awful credits. Producer on the Boondock Saints,
Yeah, I saw
3,000 Miles to Graceland.
Yeah, he's a producer, but look at the movies he's produced.
Driven? He did Driven too.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Should
They're all
have stuck to acting.
they are
What a
all money
career.
losers.
Yeah, well, he's still making it. He recently directed a Emil Hirsch John Cusack film that
no.
I produced, not directed, but he wrote it and he's in it. So he's living his best life.
Yeah,
Totally.
So he comes in, he's helping his mom with the
Oh,
groceries.
he's amazing.
And he's wearing this like 2-piece 80s tracksuit
Yeah.
or 90s tracksuit.
With, like, a gold chain.
With a gold chain with nothing
Ah, so
underneath.
good.
You can see his chest hair.
He's almost like a Russian gangster. Like
He
outfit.
does return in Munchie Strikes Back. So
I saw
that's
it
the
in
one
the
returning
credits.
character.
I was kind of hoping. But his mustache in this movie, it's like the Clark Gable mustache or something.
And he's like overly tanned as well, I'm sure, by design. And we forgot to mention that this kid's name is Gage.
Yeah.
That's not a name.
Gage Dobson.
Gage.
That's the name of a porn performer, Gage Dobson.
I said wrestler. But
Yeah.
yeah. It could be that too. So
all I was thinking was like Pet Cemetery, Gage Creed. It's the kid.
Oh no, Gage Creed is the one I said sounds like a wrestler.
Yeah. Gage Creed has entered the ring.
So he comes in. He's already talking to Gage and saying like, "I'm gonna propose to your mother." And
we have to say that the kid is. I was calling it. I'm like, okay, his dad's either dead or they're divorced. Sure
and
enough.
he's like, oh, well, he's with his other family. And this guy, Elliot is his name. He's like, your dad clearly doesn't want you. Like, oh my God, right out of the gate. You know.
Andrew Stevens is having a meal of this role. Like, he's having so much fun in this of playing the bad stepdad.
I was saying if he would be so perfect in like a Reanimator film, if he was like Herbert West's like nemesis. If he kind of showed up,
like a bizarro Herbert West.
Yeah, he would be like, if Herbert West goes to jail, and then he would be the warden of the jail, and they'd have like a history. It's like, hello, West.
Yeah.
Oh God, they would be so amazing together.
Honestly, his commitment to this role is very reminiscent of Jeffrey Combs's Herbert West.
For sure, yeah.
Physically, he's mugging like crazy.
Oh, it's so good.
Doesn't he like talk to the camera at one point?
He does.
It's so good.
And after that sequence, we get to what every kid has done in their lives, which is go, someday I'll be dead. Then they'll be sorry.
That's when I was like, I love this movie.
I wish I was
No, later he goes, I wish I was dead.
Yeah, but after he says that, it leads to an amazing sequence of his funeral, which is looked over by Angus Scrimm, who keeps doing like double takes.
I never would have known it was him if I didn't see his name in the credits because he has short hair. It doesn't look like he looks in the Phantasm.
Yeah.
And this is actually a really funny series of jokes where like every character we've seen up to now is like, oh, I'm sorry I bullied you. I just did it because I felt you were superior to me.
Such like a thing that a little kid would imagine.
Yeah. The dad's like, I've been arrested for bigamy. I am a creep. And there's like police that have him in chains.
He's like crying, and he's like, the two cops are holding him. He's like, your mom saw me on America's Most Wanted
for bigamy.
And then Lonnie Anderson comes up. Oh, I got you that Walkman you always wanted for Christmas.
And the kid sits up. He's like, oh, right. And Angus Scrimm's like, sorry, kid, you're dead. He's like, oh. Good joke.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, guys. It's time to talk about, the elephant in the room, the Munchster himself.
How does Munchie end up with
He comes across
Gage?
An abandoned mine, which every town in a movie has. The
So
abandoned
he
mine.
fell out of the bottomless pit, which was just a hill, and I guess he just ended up in the mine somehow.
I guess, but he's not even at the bottom of the mine or anything. He's like about 10 feet from the opening of the mine.
Yes.
And he's like, help, let me out of here.
And the kid opens it up, and Munchie comes out, and there's like sparklers, and he's wearing like a little white suit, and he, like I said before, he looks like shit. He looks so sick.
Oh my God.
I need to know why this creature looks like this. Like what is he?
So this was designed by Gabe Bartalos and Dave Kindlin. And Gabe, I think, is most famous for doing Leprechaun. He did the Leprechaun design.
Oh, okay.
And he's a very famous special effects guy. I think Dave Kindlin worked with him a lot too. And they did Gremlins: The New Batch, where Rick Baker guys.
Oh my God.
I don't know what they were thinking with Munchie. It's a gigantic head, gigantic eyes, lips with a tongue and teeth, but it just flaps around, never matching Dom DeLuise's words.
Giant pointy ears.
They're like green goblin ears.
Is he supposed to be a goblin? Is he supposed to be a vampire?
And he's bald because he's got a wig on.
He's got this weird toupee thing that's on his head.
Well, when he is wearing a suit later, he looks like he's just supposed to be a Dracula.
Yeah.
Right? Or am I wrong?
It's so off-putting. It's like...
Did they maybe design him to be a Dracula, which would explain why there is that inflatable Dracula in the car at the beginning?
I don't know.
I still can't figure that out.
Was he supposed to talk like this?
Yeah, but he's just an ancient creature with powers.
I guess, but his mouth... barely moves. Barely moves.
But his eyebrows are just going all over the place. He always looked like he's malfunctioning.
Yeah, it does.
he's like
his mouth can't do anything. It's just sort of the middle inch of his lip can kind of go up and down a little bit.
And his nose moves up and down.
His eyes move slightly, and then his hands are always like kind of twisting back and forth.
The things that can move are always moving.
Yeah, and the dialogue, it doesn't look like he's talking, even though, Dom DeLuise's voice is coming out of him.
Lip sync is not even a thing for Munchie.
Like, it feels like they activated him and just let him run until they were done with the scene. Like, just have
some of the
Munchie
scenes
just move.
of him moving look like they're reversed and played forward and reversed and played forward. So it's just like they shot it and then later they did the
They probably just shot him for 5 minutes in one go.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll write the script later, whatever Dom DeLuise.
The amazing wit that will leave Dom DeLuise's mouth.
Yeah,
we'll
will
just
I
make it
hire
up
a
later.
punch-up, or we'll get Carrie Fisher to come in and like doctor the
It's
script.
just like Love on a Leash, where they're like,
Yeah.
we'll write jokes for the dog later.
But it's like he's so off-putting, and it looks like, did you guys ever go to Chuck E. Cheese when you were kids?
I never did. I'm sad about that. I never got to see those animatronics.
I saw the original. Like,
you know what? I didn't think they had animatronics at mine. They
No,
just had the
I don't think they
big
did.
guy wearing the suit.
I went to one in Burlington. This is before it was in Toronto. My aunt lived in Burlington, so we loved as kids going to visit her. And she would take us to Chuck E. Cheese for our birthdays, and it was like the greatest place for like I couldn't sleep for days before going to Chuck E.
Happy
Cheese.
birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, boy or girl.
So did they look like Munchie or?
No, but they had like this animatronic show that would play during dinner. So it was like this band that would play, and there were all these like robotic like creatures. This looks like the knockoff, if like, Chuck E. Cheese is popular. This is like the low budget like restaurant
Very
around the
low
corner.
budget. I do have to say, though, as a kid, I could not get enough of the Rainforest Cafe. Loved it. All those animatronic animals.
I
never went, but I knew of it. They had.
I feel so bad for my mom, who took me there like half a dozen times, because it would be like a rainstorm
That's
every
right.
10 minutes.
I visited one for the first time in Hawaii when I was like 19 or 20. And that was the first time I'd ever been to one. And so we were kind of eating, and then like thunder starts and like lightning, and it was
I
pretty
guess
neat.
that's cool.
I didn't see any animatronic creatures.
There used to be one at Yorkdale, and there's now one at Niagara Falls. Yeah, they are. There's creatures that just move like.
Really?
There's like a
Birds
whole
and
bunch of
stuff.
animals. Yeah. There's like gorillas and lions and stuff like that.
Do they do a show, or are they just sort of peppered?
No,
about
they
the
just
place?
kind of move around and like roar and stuff, like when the rainforest happens, the rainstorm happens.
Interesting. Well, I don't know.
Well, anyway.
Bring back animatronics.
Yeah, Munchie looks terrible. He's kind of grotesque.
Yeah, his like we were talking earlier, his skin looks
It's just sickly.
It's very sickly and mottled.
It's like you can see the paint.
Yeah, or like the blotches that they've like
Yeah.
put on his face. It's kind of horrific. And then later in the movie, like his ears looks like they're
It's all
rotting off
bloody.
or something. Yeah, they're like crusty and weird and ugh.
But he is introduced here singing the classic song, Hello, My Ragtime Gal. Hello, my baby.
I
Hello,
don't know
my...
if I imagined that or not. Dude, just
Which was made famous by the Andrews Sisters, but was actually recorded, or the lyrics came out in 1899, and it's a song about the telephone, which was new at the time.
So, kids are going to
trivia.
love it.
They love it. I mean, it's a Michigan, I can't say it. The Looney Tunes short, where the frog is like...
Michigan J Frog.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Also appears in Teddy Bomb because it's public domain.
and in Spaceballs.
right.
When the alien
When John Hurt's like, not again! And the alien pops out.
Okay, so we're introduced to Munchie's powers.
Although Munchie does admit that his material is old, and he's like, "Oh, I'm losing the
I
audience."
gotta work on my
I gotta
material.
update my material, kid.
What's really funny, I didn't point it out when Colin said it, he makes a Clark Gable joke, which Colin just did. And the kid's like, huh? I don't know what you're talking about. And Munchie's like, I gotta work on my material.
Your material is as good as Munchie, Colin.
Tim Conway, Harvey Korman.
Yeah. We love Tim Conway.
Okay, so is this when he gets the pizza?
Yeah, so the kid runs back home, and Munchie's like in his bed, bathed in horrifying green light, being like, hey kid, welcome back, it's me, Munchie.
Like, how did you get in my room? I followed you home.
But he's like,
I'm just not in your room, I'm in your bed.
yeah, he's got the
Come
covers
on
on. It looks
in.
like he's masturbating or something.
Oh.
But he's wearing this like leather jacket. I guess he's sort of like
Hey.
updated his material because
Yeah, now he looks like
To the fawns.
Yeah.
it's now the 90s. Let's do the Fonz.
It'd be cute if they made him a little tracksuit like the stepdad has.
Well, he doesn't want to hang out with his stepdad, though.
No,
He wants to
but
hang out
that
like a cool
at
guy.
least would be more 90s. That's all,
Yeah, and this is the scene where the kid, like you mentioned, April, is like, I wish I had some pizza. And the Munchie's like, coming right up.
And so he manifests a pizza. We cut to an Italian restaurant.
Oh, this is so
It's me,
good.
Luigi. I made you a
This
pizza.
guy comes out. He's wearing like a tall like chef's hat, which is more French than Italian, and just like a white T-shirt underneath, and seeing like his chef.
He's
thing.
very kind of
like,
disheveled.
Hey, here's your pizza.
But he comes out and he's giving this couple the pizza. He's like, hey, Gino, make a good pizza for you.
And it starts spinning and flying, and they're like, huh?
And the pizza man does the only thing he can do. He pulls out a butcher knife and he's like, oh!
He starts
and he starts
chasing.
chasing.
Now, this pizza, is it...
Oh, so disgusting
is it
looking.
sentient?
Well, it's making noise. It's like, hee woo!
Yeah, it's going like,
I mean, when they eat it, it's not like, ah, or anything. So.
So Munchie can't, like, make a pizza appear. It has to, like, fly from the restaurant.
It takes so long, too.
Yeah, and I
It's,
mean,
like, mounted to the
there's some
camera. It's like a Sam Raimi
I
shot.
love the mounting it to the camera and just flying the camera around shot.
It's like Naked Gun, too.
Yeah,
Da-na-na,
but it's also, it
na-na-na.
becomes like a really, really bad looking special effect.
Yeah, it's like Compton. It's shot on a blue
Yeah.
screen or something. But with this pizza, so it's got to fly, like, I don't know,
A mile
5
at
miles
least.
to the kid's
It'd
house.
probably be covered in bugs.
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
like,
thinking.
It's a good point.
Yeah, it would have, like, flies and stuff on it.
I was very disturbed by the morality of this as a kid. It's like, you can't just steal someone's pizza.
Yeah, that's wrong, Munchie.
I do love how the chef chases it forever, holding his like cleaver and stuff like that, and then the cops spot him and they chase him and block him off.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure he was shipped back to his home of Italy because we live in a
I
terrible
can only
world.
assume he was like arrested.
And when the pizza arrives, the kid's like, an unidentified flying pizza. And I saw it for a moment, I'm like, that's not even a pun. Like, it doesn't
No.
even fit UFO.
Yeah.
I loved how they when it lands in this is the kid's bedroom, by the way. He was like sent to bed without dinner. They already have like a little table set up with like a silver platter for the pizza to land
Yeah,
in.
I guess you just had
Where did that come from?
It was also given life by Munchie,
Yeah.
and it flew. We just didn't see it.
He
Yeah,
had
the
that sentence.
antique salesman that they stole it from also had a butcher knife and chased
Yeah, I just
after
want
it.
them to the pizza to be screaming as they're like eating it.
Munchie says, I can bring any food, but I have difficulty with alphabet soup. I keep dropping the letters. And I'm like, that's not even a joke.
pun. Yeah. So around this time, he did make a joke that I didn't understand at all, and Colin had to explain it to me. He said, he's like, where are you gonna sleep? And he's like, I can make a bed. Look, there's hammer and nails. I'm like, what is that?
He's gonna
Make your bed.
he's gonna
But he made it.
he's gonna physically make a bed
Yeah.
out of
That's a
wood
joke.
and
I get it.
nails.
I mean, that's
didn't
better
get it
than
at
dropping
first.
letters.
I didn't get it at first. So.
Better than most.
He
of the
says, I need to update my material twice in this scene.
he does.
They just looped at the same time he said
Who
it
wrote
both
this
times.
copy?
Okay, so Munchie then sleeps in a drawer.
Well, now is this the only time? Okay,
I sleep in a drawer.
let's go to the name Munchie.
Yeah.
Okay, talk about Munchie. So
Is this
on
the only time that we ever see him eat?
Yeah.
And when I say
on the
eat,
poster, it says he loves eating, which is why he's called Munchie.
we never
He doesn't.
see him eat in this movie.
Well, do you really want to see food like pressed into the plastic flap
No.
where his mouth is?
no,
He
And-
physically couldn't.
Yeah, he physically cannot because this animatronic is so bad that they could not make it eat. But
They wanted to call him Munchie.
they constantly have him talking about food. Not constantly, but the odd time. So it's just like, I don't know. You could probably see the script.
It was
you know-
probably came up with the word Munchie before they even had a puppet.
Yeah. Or
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, they called him Munchie because Munchie's made money. That's why it's called Munchie.
Yeah. It's a great name. Who cares if he can't eat?
Roger Corman's like,
You know?
oh, I need money so I can munchie.
He takes one bite of pizza and that's it.
Yeah, that's about it. But I bet you the
And
script.
it's probably disgusting, like that food just falling like into the hole where the animatronics
Well,
are.
he
it just-
doesn't even bite it.
smelled
Like,
so horribly for
can't-
like the rest of the shoot.
Yeah.
Oh God, they just sprayed the Munchie puppet down this morning.
God, why did it have to be anchovies?
It does kind of looks like it stinks.
Yeah, so
There's a weird joke where the kid's like, I don't like anchovies. And Munchie's like, eat around them, kid. Like,
Jesus. There in the 90s it was nothing but anchovies on pizza jokes.
yeah,
people love that joke.
oh, it's like gold.
I don't know anybody who eats anchovies on pizza. I never have.
Whoever did the punch-up material is
Patton Oswalt.
who does the all the Oscar material. Just that one. There's that one joke, right? I think he.
The guy who wears like a bow tie or whatever his name is.
He's always wearing those
Bruce
stupid.
Valanche?
Bruce
Valanche.
Yeah,
that's what you're thinking of. Yeah.
He's always on like Hollywood Squares or something like that.
Does Hollywood Squares still exist?
No.
I've never watched Hollywood Squares.
I used to watch it.
There was
every
that
day.
great clip that was going around
Wow.
when Gilbert Gottfried died recently of him on Hollywood Squares, and it was so fucking funny.
Yeah, I like Tom Bergeron.
Mm-hmm.
So we got he goes to school with him.
Yeah,
Munchie.
he's like, oh, I need my grades to be better. I need this girl to fall in love with me.
Hacks the system.
And Munchie's like, no problem, kid.
like Ferris Bueller. Yeah.
Well, he hacks the system by literally going into the receptionist's office
Yeah.
and changing the grades on his computer.
yeah, so he can throw his voice. That's one of his abilities.
He does do that, and he makes the receptionist leave her desk because
Played by Monique Gabrielle, Penthouse Playmate.
and so-
or not Penthouse. What were they called? I don't know.
Penthouse
Pet.
Model?
Penthouse Pet.
Penthouse Pets.
Wasn't there?
Okay.
Okay, she was in Deathstalker 2, right?
Yes, she was.
So she's having an affair with the principal, who I hope is single, and not like married or something.
He's like this old fuddy-duddy.
Yeah, you saw him earlier. He's funny. So
The actor's name, by the way, Ace Mask.
Is that his real name? Like, did you look it up?
It was just funny.
It is a real name. He has 26 credits, and he worked mostly for Fred Olen Ray in films like Transylvania Twist, Not of This Earth, Chopping Mall. So
How
there you
is
go.
that a real name? Anyway,
I don't know. Well, Munchie plays a prank after he changes the kids' grades. He like turns on the PA system as the principal and his secretary are getting some smoochy time.
Yeah, so they're
They're going, oh, I love
they
you.
have pet names for each other, and it just kind of gets more and more ridiculous.
And I love the kid. He's hearing this. He's like, gotta be Munchie. And it's like, is it kids?
Saying like, "I love you, Honey Muffin," and Bunny Snuggle and stuff like that, and then the teacher comes in and catches them, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? So yeah, the whole school hears, and the principal is
They're all laughing.
embarrassed.
But like the principal immediately thinks it's this kid. Why?
Also, the principal
this
is
kid.
like this is like a start of a porno. Like this movie, like all the adults in it are in a porno that's happening at the same time.
I mean, Jim Wynorski's filmography.
Yeah, exactly.
That's. So in the next scene, speaking of this seemingly being a high school script, the kid is in a locker room. He is 10 years old.
Yeah,
Like,
wearing a towel.
He's naked, just coming out of the shower. They did not have showers. In
Well, I mean,
elementary
we were
schools.
talking about
We're
Stephen
going to
King
get
earlier.
letters or tweets of people being like, I was 5 and there were
Remember, there
showers.
was a shower scene in It. The old TV show. So maybe they do.
Oh,
have
was
them.
there?
Remember, the clown comes out of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
ground.
It might have been a requirement, but we had them in high school.
We had them in high school, me
Nobody
too.
used them. Like
I
you're
don't
not
even
gonna
remember having them in high school.
like you're not gonna. Maybe it was like one of the older kids would be showering or something, but it's just so weird. We never.
Well, I think it's just in movies where it's like, yeah, we all shower in front of each other, or maybe it's an American thing. I don't
guess.
know.
Who would do that? I had a hard enough time, like in the change room, like changing.
Kids didn't like doing that. Some of them, like the confident kids, would do it, but that's pretty much it. I think I remember taking a shower
I would be terrified
once.
just changing into like gym shorts in front of people.
Especially what happens to the kids in this scene. He gets whipped by a towel. That hurts.
He gets a towel whipping.
Well, he kind of bends
Is
over.
that something that people don't do anymore? Like it's like it was a '90s rage whipping people with
In
towels.
like every show, yeah.
I remember
You never see towel whipping anymore.
we used to do that as kids. Like you would just sort of like twist it up really quickly and whip, but then we would make this special one. It was called the rat's tail, and there was a special way to like roll it up where it was like super super thick and it just tapered right down to this perfect whipping point. Took a little while, had to like do a little tuck on the top, but it was awesome. And it's like, oh shit, you can do the rat tail. He's got a rat tail.
And that hurts.
So bad, but it was so thick.
It hurts so much, like when you get whipped. Like a really good contact with a little bit of a wet tip, it'll leave like a huge red mark.
Yeah, we used to do it sometimes.
Definitely never been.
You just like dip
whipped.
it in the pool and then whip. And
Oh,
when it was
that's the worst.
If it was like really good and got a good snap, the whole end.
Oh, and it's so loud.
Yeah.
She was
And the whole end of the towel would just kind of explode and shred. Like,
Wow, I thought this was just
Well, how
something
hard
that
are
was
you
in the
whipping people,
movies.
Colin? That the towels are literally exploding.
Anyway, so
That's how we lost little Jim. The good old rat
the
tail
bully
whipping
comes in
incident.
and whips this poor kid.
it's so funny because the kid is bent over, right?
Yeah, but he's wearing a
Oh.
towel at least, so at least like that was some protection, I guess. And he's like, "Don't whip
Munchie
me."
is very Munchie's very creepy in the scene.
Yeah.
He's like, "You gotta change your underwear, kid." It's like,
Yeah.
why are you sniffing the kid's
He's
underwear,
hiding
Munchie?
in the
Like,
locker. Yeah, he sniffs his friend's underwear.
It's just gross.
yeah.
So yeah, this kid gets his comeuppance. Leon, the bully, he does Munchie attack him?
I think the kid punches him,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
He
Munchie's
just flies
like
backwards.
Munchie's making like bars of soap like appear under his like feet, so
But,
he
like,
slips, and then his head
did
gets
he
stuck
give
in a
this
bucket.
kid like superhuman strength because he flew across the room?
I guess I don't know. Maybe he's just and then the coach comes in, or the phys ed teacher.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa, yeah.
Who also looks like he just stepped out of a porno,
Yeah, he looks like so like roided up, and he's wearing like
a loose tank top, muscle shirt.
Yeah,
you know.
and he's like, "Kid, we all hated that jerk you beat up, but no fighting."
And he's like, why don't you try it for the football team on Monday?
And he said, "I don't like
This is
football."
a child. He's 10 years old.
Yeah, and he's like he's like drowning in the laundry cart. The water is going in it.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. I wrote, "This child died from the punch, and if he didn't die after that, like April said, he drowned because it lands in the
we
showers."
don't see him again.
He just,
No, we do see him.
Do
We
we?
do see him
Okay.
come out of the laundry cart. Yeah.
he just drowns, and they just leave his corpse.
He's like waterboarded to death.
yeah, they never find him because nobody uses the showers.
Well, like, so this came up earlier that the stepdad was like, "You should try out for the football team." He says, "No, I don't want to." And I like that he doesn't. He wants to be in the school play, although he's not in the play. He's curtain
He's
puller.
a stage manager.
Yeah,
so they
stage
somehow,
manager.
and it kind of they plant the seed earlier because the bully kid and the preppy guy
Preppy kid.
kind of like come across him in the hallway. And then the preppy guy is like, "Stay away from Jennifer Love Hewitt. And by the way, I know you're the stage manager of the talent show, but you know, me and Jennifer Love Hewitt are going to do
Romeo and Juliet.
a sketch." And he's like, "Don't mess it up."
And he doesn't.
Whatever you do,
Who would put this?
Munchie does.
Yeah, Munchie like gets this kid. His pants fall down. He falls off the stage, and everyone's laughing at him.
Who would put this small child in charge of like stage managing?
And they of
the
course
talent show.
they blame Gage for this kid, like for these things that are clearly not done. But he's like, "I just am supposed to, pull the curtain," and yeah, so he gets in trouble again, and he's like, "Munchie, you're making my life worse." But he's like, "But I'm helping you. I did this and I did that," and he's like, "I never want to see you again."
Doesn't the principal?
The principal threatens to expel.
he says,
Gage.
"Yeah, I'm going to expel you forever."
And Munchie like shows up in the next scene like bathed in shadow like a noir villain. Like he's like, "I'm just helping you out, kid. What's the problem? Me and your pal Munchie."
Hey, I murdered that bully kid for you. Help me dispose of the body. Hey.
So is this around the time that we go to the professor
Yes.
And
who's singing the theme song?
Yeah. By the way, the theme song is very catchy. I couldn't get it out of my head before we started
So
recording.
this theme song was written by Chuck Serino. I hope I'm not saying that name incorrectly. He's a really great composer who worked on all of Jim Wynorski's early stuff. He did the amazing theme for Chopping Mall.
Oh.
He also did. Yeah. There's a theme song in Death Stalker 2, and like the joke is it keeps playing and won't stop playing to the point that there's like someone playing it on like a mandolin, and the hero is
that's right,
the
that's
villain's like, "Stop playing that song."
Oh, it has a nice sense of humor. And but yeah, and this like it becomes diegetic where the neighbor is singing it. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. And then there's like a slow version of it, and like it's catchy. It's not, to me it sounds like something that could be in like a Nintendo like Banjo-Kazooie or like a Kirby game or something like that.
We forgot to point out as well that Munchie reveals that he is the one who wrote all the Shakespeare plays.
Sure.
Okay. And then later on, he says he invented the car.
Yeah,
Yes.
he does. He does.
This is the scene.
He's just a liar.
Yep, this is the scene where it's
You
revealed.
want to know who started World War II?
Yeah, it's like the Transformers in Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon, or is it the fourth one where it's like Transformers through time? I expect to see like Munchie like beside Hitler
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Nazi Germany.
They don't do that.
They're
but
looking at all like black and white photos, and he's in the
Yeah.
background where like Hitler's
It's
giving
like
a speech.
Zelig, the Woody Allen movie.
they
where it's
basically
like,
do
Munchie
that.
was behind it all.
They basically
it's like
do
who
that.
was the second shooter at the grassy knoll? It was Munchie.
It was the second grassy knoll.
So this kid, I said this yesterday. Colin's Dom DeLuise is Joan Rivers.
It's turning into Joan Rivers.
Sounds like Joan.
Yes.
Oh, look what he's
But
wearing.
close enough.
Yeah.
So he goes to his friend and he explains that about Munchie, and he's like, "Wait a second," brings out a book. Is this what you saw? It's
It's like hieroglyphics.
It's a hieroglyphic Egyptian picture, just with Munchie drawn into it.
Yeah.
It was hilarious,
And it doesn't fit the style of the hieroglyphic drawing.
And then they do.
There's like a picture of Buddha, but it's like this sort of kind of Asian art style. But
And
like,
then what about this? It's cave painting with
Munchie.
With Munchie, it's absolutely.
I think
ridiculous.
Munchie's like killing like a woolly mammoth or something. He's like standing over the corpse of a woolly mammoth.
Yeah. So
He's like,
Munchie's
wow.
been around since the dawn of time.
Yeah, he says has he been around that long? And he's like,
Munchie is our god. I think that's what this movie says.
yeah. I was kind of thinking he's almost like, I don't know, like Loki or something. Like the
What if there was like an image of like Munchie crucified? It's like he died for our sins.
Yeah.
No, he'd be the one looking up at like Jesus with like
So he's like he has like the spear.
he's
and
got like
putting it in
hammer and
Jesus'
nails
side.
like in
pulling
his
the
hand or
strings.
something.
He
Yeah,
caused
yeah.
Jesus to die.
He's like, they wanted me to nail him to the cross.
So back at home,
This is the
Elliot
dinner.
is planning this big engagement dinner that his mom is cooking.
Yeah, now
I have a big dinner planned, kid. I hope nothing, especially anything Munchie style, will happen at this dinner.
and speaking of Clark Gable, he is dressed like Clark Gable. He's like a 1930s film star or something. He's got this double-breasted suit.
Yeah,
and like
the
these
gray
big pants.
suit. Yeah. So Munchie, of course, without Gage's permission, decides to sabotage this dinner because he knows what he wants. He's just gonna help him.
He's dressed as Norman Schwarzkopf as well. He's like, it's
Who
time
is that?
He's the general that sort of oversaw Operation Desert Storm.
Oh.
And then Munchie's like, it's time for Operation Dinner Storm.
Yeah.
That's why he was dressed
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
He is
Okay.
wearing like a little army thing. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But I didn't get the joke. So
Yeah, and so he starts messing with Elliot. He's like, Elliot's putting on like kind of romantic music, and he keeps changing it.
And he makes the lights go too bright. Just little stuff like that.
Hijinks.
He's
Munchie
pulling his
hijinks.
chair out while he's about to sit down. He somehow, I guess, did cause the champagne to.
explode in Elliot's face.
Yeah. So.
Well, the worst is he lights his foot on fire.
Yeah, but it's confusing because they don't show like any flame or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to use your imagination.
They have a.
Oh, oh, oh!
Hey, this guy can sell it, man, because he's a
It's true.
professional.
Yeah, he's got a hot foot.
And he makes the right decision that characters in this kind of movie never do. He's like, all right, this is wild. Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, he takes Lonnie Anderson away to
They go to the Italian
the
restaurant.
Italian eatery, and the kid is all pissed off because he's like, "Oh, Munchie, like you're always messing things up." And then
Let's have a party. Don't have a party, Munchie.
this is one of the funniest things because, and it has to be intentional because the kid kind of storms off in a huff, and then Munchie's looking at him, but he's going, but it sounds like a fart. And it's like, and he's kind of squinting.
That's Dom DeLuise, master of sound.
He's
Yeah.
squinting his eyes. I'm like, did he just fart? And I rewound it. It was
No,
so
he
funny.
didn't fart, but that's probably the loudest you laughed in the whole movie.
Is that your favorite thing?
Fart that wasn't even a fart.
No, I like the boyfriend character.
Oh, your
Well,
boyfriend's
my
favorite
favorite
thing.
scene is coming up, which is the party scene.
Okay.
Oh
Just
my
the
God.
whole
Well,
party
this
in
has,
general.
speaking of jokes for, the dads in the audience, Munchie does a bunch of phone calls. Like, he calls Jennifer Love Hewitt. He calls just some random people, I guess, like all adults. And he also calls Hugh Hefner analog and does a Jack Nicholson impersonation.
It's Hugh Hefty.
That's wild.
He has like a business card and it has like a kind of fake.
Hey, it's me, Jack.
He goes, "You want to airlift some girls to my party? Thanks a lot, Hugh."
So, first of all, this party is bizarre, and only Munchie could plan this because he invites.
Oh, Munchie!
Yeah, he invites Love Hewitt and her dad, but there's no.
Her dad, played by a Fred Olen Ray regular, who stars in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Is that the guy that was in Neverending Story 2? I didn't.
I don't know. I've never seen any of the Neverending Story movies.
Are you kidding me? That first one's
Not
a classic.
one.
I did a whole podcast on two of them on another podcast.
This film is lit.
So yeah, the reason this party is so funny is that so there's no other kids at this party. It's all adults.
Yeah.
And like sexy adults. And also
Munchie is giving out alcohol too. Like, he has a keg.
Also, it's a costume party.
Okay.
Yes.
Like, there's a band.
So it's an adult band playing.
Yeah,
That
playing
apparently
like psychedelic rock.
Hugh Hefner supplied. I think Jack Nicholson's like, throw in a band.
They're singing a song that the chorus is, "Women are like that. Women are like that." I made note of it. Yeah.
Playboy Playmates.
God.
There's old men that are getting wasted. There's one guy that goes into the toilet and Munchie's already there taking a piss.
pee.
I guess Munchie has like a huge hog or something like that because the guy's like, "Whoa."
Yeah, and no one cares that there's a Munchie at this party.
Well, Munchie.
So Fred Olen Ray is at this party. He appears a bunch. He's at the piano, and there's a really creepy shot of him looking at Jennifer Love Hewitt dancing, and he like puts his sunglasses down, like, "Oh," and it's like,
dude,
too young, Fred Olen Ray.
Later, there's just a bunch of people watching them dance.
Yeah, which is really creepy.
He's one of those guys.
Munchie kind of pops up at the piano, and I think he steals.
Yeah, and that's Fred Olen Ray playing the piano.
Steals his drink and then drinks it. There's like a keg of beer at this party.
Oh yeah, Munchie gets drunk. This is a plot point of this party.
Yeah, and it's
There's a guy that is dressed up like Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted.
Yeah, there is.
Maybe it was a coincidence, but they pan by and he's like drinking the keg.
Yeah, this is like 92 maybe, yeah. So, yeah.
Maybe it's Keanu Reeves himself.
And Jennifer Love Hewitt's dad shows up with her. And he's like, "Hello there, Gage,
and he's
how
just
are you?"
like having a good time. The principal shows up with his receptionist, and he's also just like, "This is a great party, Gage. All is forgiven."
What is
so
happening?
good.
Yeah.
And the principal even like, won't even take off those demerit points. Whatever those are.
Call back. That's what the woman says. Whatever those are.
So one point.
By the way, she has huge cans.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, did Jim Wynorski just come to the podcast?
All of the women. In this
All the
movie
women,
do.
especially Lonnie Anderson. Like, I was shocked that they are like on full display. But I guess what can I expect because this is Jim Wynorski? But it's a children's movie.
Yeah. But they do have like a little quick scene where they show Lonnie Anderson, the boyfriend, at dinner. They kind of break up. They have a falling out.
Well, he can't pay for dinner because Munchies took his wallet. And that's like he's saying like, doesn't he say like, "I hate your son," or
he's like proposing and she's like, "Oh, let me think about it," or something. And he's like, "Ooh, a 30-something divorcee with a kid.
Time's running out.
You're not going to have much luck on this market," or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm a catch, basically. I'm powerful and I have a great job." He's a doctor, I guess they said, or he's like a scientist.
Yeah, the scientist neighbor says at the beginning that he's a doctor who injects animals with cancer and then dissects them to find out what killed them.
Yes.
And
so that's
hey guys, 30-something divorcee, she's 47.
that's what I said. I was
she's
like,
45.
she is not in her early 30s. I'm sorry. And she's wearing this like ridiculous wig that's maybe her hair.
Her
but
lip
it's,
liner
like,
in this scene is
yeah,
crazy.
Her lip liner is insane. So anyway, this crazy party is going on. She goes home. She's really mad. She breaks up the party. And then that's when Munchie gets caught.
Because he's drunk behind the couch snoring.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he snores like,
Which is very cute. And also, side note, this scene clearly shot during the day, even though it's supposed to be night, and they leave the house and it's night again.
You got him, April. They got
Yeah,
got.
got him. Actually, I was calling them noticed that first.
I was like, wait,
Okay.
how long has this party been going on? It's already daytime.
But then we realize it's night. So there's this cool chase scene. He's like, what is that?
Well, the stepdad, or not, the boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, suddenly, he wants Munchie so bad.
This is immediate.
Yes. He's like, I need that Munchie.
He doesn't even know what it is. He's just like, I gotta have it. And he grabs him, puts him in a garbage bag.
Puts him in a garbage bag. This all happens in like 3 seconds. He sees this sentient creature.
Yeah.
Puts him in a garbage
That
bag.
can talk.
And immediately wants to take him back to his lab to like dissect him.
Yeah, well, we forgot to mention that the professor neighbor is there. He comes to the party as well and has a good time dancing with ladies.
He's surrounded by like Playboy playmates.
Yeah, so he's there at the scene, and he's like, "No, you can't take Munchie." He takes him. Then he gets thwarted by Jennifer Love Hewitt, who sprays beer at him from the keg.
Mm-hmm. And there's a car chase.
Yep. So like the mom.
Great cameo for the kids of a ATM is hit by one of the cars. Money goes flying everywhere.
right.
And George Buck Flowers shows up.
Yes, we were like Buck Flower. Now he says something that I cannot
He
understand.
goes, Las Vegas, here I
Oh,
come.
that's what he
and
says.
I'm like,
I couldn't.
do they live
hear.
in the They Live world? Is he playing the same character? Because he plays a homeless guy in They
He
Live.
always does.
Plays a homeless guy. in
Yes.
several
He's always
movies.
the drunk.
So yeah, we got
guy.
we got Munchie and Professor What's His Name and Gage.
And Munchie is driving, and my notes are here. Munchie shouldn't drive. He's drunk.
Oh yeah.
That's right. So he's like, "Hey, you just work the pedals. I'm doing fine. I invented these things."
He says, I can't let you drive. You don't have a license. And he's like, I invented the car.
Yeah.
Oh.
Elliot is chasing after them, and then the mom and Jennifer Love and her dad are chasing them, and then the car starts flying because that's how he escapes.
Munchie power.
E.T.
Yeah.
Remember E.T.,
They
guys?
do an ET reference.
Munchie's better.
Which is like some of the scenes look okay, and then like, ooh, that looks really bad
Yeah.
when it goes across the like starry sky.
Yeah, well, he goes in front of the
rough.
moon like E.T. It's pretty funny. But then this is a hilarious scene. So like the crazy boyfriend is like chasing them or whatever. He gets arrested by the cops.
Well, he crashes into a donut shop,
right.
and they really did that. Like that's a real
Yeah,
stunt.
you see the car crash,
Yeah.
and it's not stock footage either because the guy then gets out of the car and the cops arrest him. Of course, they were eating donuts, as cops
and he's
tend
like,
to do.
"This guy's crazy," and I mean, he is acting like insane.
He's like,
I need to get the creature.
Yeah.
They're
He's
like,
slipping all over the place.
this guy smells like booze.
Yeah, he's like, a little girl sprayed me with beer. It's funny. Yeah, it's like, oh my god, like I didn't think this guy could get it more over the top with his character, but he hits it in this scene.
Yeah, so
they
they're-
haul him away.
They're dragging him outside, and Lonnie Anderson and like Jennifer Love Hewitt and her dad drive up, and then they're like, he's
like,
like,
"Tell them
they
who I
know me.
am."
They'll tell you who I am. And the cops are like, ma'am, have you ever seen this person? And they're like, I've never seen him in my life. And they just drive away.
He's like, no.
But the thing is, even if they did know him, that's not going to get him off the hook. You just crashed into a fucking store. You're going to jail or something. You got to get charged for that.
I gotta say that my grandmother also crashed through a Tim Hortons one. She didn't go to jail.
Oh,
Yeah, she accidentally reversed instead of going
Oh,
forward, and she
no.
went through like the plate glass. Thankfully, no one was
my
hurt.
God.
Thank
that's
God.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been bad.
Well,
Did they
and that's-
haul her off to a mental asylum?
thing
Like,
she didn't.
Yeah, and she's like, it's a little creature that did it, a munchie.
Well, they're like 3 months at the industrial prison farm will do
Or
him
something.
good.
Yeah,
I thought they were gonna-
a little bit of shock therapy.
yeah, I thought
will
they were going to
really
take him to get
smooth him out.
lobotomized or something. It like
Lobotomized.
They don't do that anymore.
it just cuts. It would be like an after credits
They
stinger.
let you keep the little piece in a jar.
Yeah, they show him in like a straight jacket, and he's got the big.
That's what's missing. He doesn't have a straitjacket in this
Yeah.
Well,
movie.
I'm sure. I can't wait to see what happens in Munchie Strikes Back.
You cannot wait to see what happens
Yeah.
in Munchie 2.
Well, they're driving him off in the cop car, and then he turns around and he sees the professor driving away with Munchie on the back, and Munchie's like "Hasta la vista," and Munchie, I'm pretty sure he gives him the finger.
Yeah, it really looks like it. I think if it's either that or he just shows his index finger. But who does that?
I don't know.
He definitely is trying to give him his
Yeah,
finger.
I think maybe
Like,
he only has like 2 fingers.
He only has 3 fingers.
I don't know. Maybe he was the only one they could make work. On
Yeah,
the day.
so that's like another joke for us.
and as we get to the final scene of this movie, I need to pick my favorite thing. And, I spend so much time with the little guy. I think Munchie's got to be my favorite.
Just Munchie himself.
You know, like Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
You learn to love him. Just like every character in this movie in this final scene is just fine with Munchie. As someone calls him, the weird, a wonderfully weird little creature. Because they're just in public in an airport with Munchie. Obviously pre 9/11.
Like
because
people,
you definitely wouldn't let a Munchie in.
They pack him up before they leave, but like why? Everyone can see him. Like there's people everywhere.
The whole family is at the gate. It's broad daylight in front of everyone, and they have Munchie's crate. Gigantic crate, by the way, carved in like all these ancient runes.
Where are they going? It's the doctor's taking Munchie
did they say
somewhere.
Africa?
I can't remember, but it's some ancient civilization that Munchie created, apparently.
Well, also earlier,
the human race.
Earlier in the movie, he's like, I got my grant money, so he can afford to take.
The doctor did, not Munchie. Munchie is not applying for any grants.
So he's gonna go on a trip, and they're like, "Bye, Munchie. I love you." Or I don't think he says that, but
they just pack him into the crate, and the professor is like bringing all of this stuff onto the plane. Mm-hmm. This is a huge crate. You're not going to stick that in carry-on.
Nope.
Well, it doesn't matter because we see the pilots going like, "Hey, who's flying the plane?" And the kid looks out the window and he's like, "Ha ha ha! It's Munchie that's flying the plane."
Hijacked
so what happens is they get on the plane, and then at like the gate, the pilots, she's like, "Sorry, I can't let you guys in. Everyone's already on. They're ready to go." And they're like, "What are you talking about? We're flying this plane." And she's like, "Well, then
we were stuck in an elevator.
Then who's moving the plane out there?" American Airlines plane starts taking off, and they cut to Munchie in a pilot outfit flying the plane
with the
and as they fly in the air, you see the Twin Towers off in the distance.
Oh no!
No, you don't.
But the thing is, there had to be people on that plane, right?
Yeah, and they're doing like flips and shit.
Hijacked it, and he's like, "Welcome to Munchie Airline." So why did they do this?
Can you imagine being on the plane? You're like, what is going on?
Yeah. But the professor is up there in the cockpit as well, and he's
also flying the plane.
Smiling and laughing.
He's like, back to my World War II days, flying for the Axis powers.
They didn't need to hijack the plane.
They hijacked a plane and kidnapped all of the people that are on the plane.
Yeah, unless there's just no people on it, but that doesn't make sense.
Munchie's speaking over the PA system.
Yeah, well, maybe that was just a joke, but no, clearly there's people.
There's gotta be people.
Yeah, and then that's the end of the
Munchie
movie.
Airlines.
So what are their plans when they get to their destination? Like, are they gonna?
They're going to get money by hostaging all the people. That's not a word, but
land them and somehow, disembark.
Is Munchie an invincible being? Can he crash the plane? Everybody dies, but he gets out of it
he
unscathed.
Just walks out of the fire. Like,
well, look how long he's been
like
Wolverine, and just like reforms all of his skin, all his modeled skin.
Yeah, so that's the movie, and then we cut to the credits where you get a little shot of everybody freeze frame. I love that.
I was a little sad there was no Fred Olin Ray freeze frame.
Oh, that would have been
everyone would be like,
and Fred Olin Ray.
Was there a Munchie freeze frame?
Yeah,
yes, there was.
DeLuise
And Munchie by Dom DeLuise. By Dom DeLuise. He's an author.
It sounds like a fragrance. Munchie by Dom DeLuise.
It sounds like his autobiography.
Don't Call Me Munchie by Dom DeLuise.
Because he's fat, right?
Well, he's no Chef Paul Prudhomme, but they
I gotta update my references.
Look up Chef Paul Prudhomme. He was a famous chef that looks exactly like Dom DeLuise.
Okay. Anyway, that's the movie. Obviously, I would recommend this, and it's on Tubi, you guys, so it's free.
Really good quality, actually, on Tubi.
Yes. I was gonna say we don't do a lot of kids movies on this show. I really hated that Dinosaur City one that Justin recommended.
So good.
I found it very, very annoying, but it could have been the mood I was in when I watched it. But speaking of quality, that was such terrible audio and visual quality watched on YouTube that it made it really painful to watch. This looks pretty great. Like
this
it's pretty crystal clear.
Yeah, it was put out by Shout Factory on Blu-ray on a double bill with Munchie.
Yeah, that makes sense because it looks like a restoration or like a rescan. It's very crisp.
And I mean, as far as bad movies go, kids' bad movies can be pretty.
They can be
pretty
insufferable.
Bad. We watched Santa with Muscles on this show, and that was okay. But like this was charming, and I can see how kids and adults would not like this, but it just tickled me in
Yeah.
just the right way.
Yeah, you just got to look at Munchie's face. And
I know, but like I didn't like this because it was incompetent. The humor actually is successful.
It's actually very competent.
yeah,
it's really funny.
yeah, it's competent and it's creative, and other than maybe the movement on Munchie, but that's what they had, and that's
They should do like a remaster like E.T. where they just replace him with like CGI
Munchie. Yeah.
I mean, with like the effects that Jim Wynorski can now afford, it'd probably be more horrifying.
Yeah.
Really, really dated CGI.
Yeah. But yeah, check it out on Tubi. I promise it is a good time. And if you want to email us, we're at nosuchthing@gmail.com. And we're on Twitter at nosuchthingpod. Consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/nosuchthing_is-a-bad-movie. If you subscribe at the $5 level, you get a little bonus episode every 2 weeks. And next week we have one coming out on something that's in theaters right now, but I didn't go to the theaters to see it. It's Michael Bay's Ambulance, people. Check it out.
It's actually pronounced ambulance.
Ambulance.
Oh, what a dramatic pause you took there, April. You're like, Michael Bay's Ambulance.
Aren't you excited? Yeah. And if you want to reach me, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, at April Hitmansky.
You can follow me on Twitter at DecLouJ, DECLOUX and letter J, or you can listen to me every week on the Important Cinema Club podcast.
You can follow me on Twitter. It's Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. And thank you, Justin, for making us watch Munchie.
No problem. My pleasure.
I'm April Hitmansky.
I'm Justin LeClue.
And I'm Colin Cunningham.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie.
And I'm Tom DeLuise. Hey!
We've been having too much fun with these movies. Time for a really bad one. Return to Dinosaur City.
Oh, no, there's a sequel?
No, there's no sequel. But I'll make it.